"Mommy, we'll stay hidden. We promise," the twins whispered. Destiny had no choice. The babysitter canceled, and she couldn't miss her first week at the new job. She hid them in the break room with tablets and snacks. An hour later, her phone buzzed. "Your children are in the CEO's office." Her blood ran cold. She burst through the doors to find her twins sitting on the billionaire's lap, showing him their drawings. He looked up at her with an expression she couldn't read. Then he smiled. "They have my mother's eyes, same as mine." He looked at the twins, then at her. "We met before, didn't we? The Chicago conference, 6 years ago. But before we dive into the full story, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. Now, subscribe to the channel and let's get started." "Mom, are you awake?" Destiny Parker opened her eyes. The room was dark. She looked at the clock on her nightstand. It was 5 in the morning. Mason stood next to her bed. His twin brother Miles was behind him. "I am awake now," Destiny said. She sat up. "What is wrong?" "We are hungry," Miles said. Destiny smiled. She was tired. She had only slept 4 hours, but she got out of bed. She always got out of bed for her boys. "Okay, let me make you breakfast." The apartment was small. There was 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, and a kitchen that connected to the living room. Destiny and the boys lived on the south side of Chicago. The neighborhood was called Bronzeville. The rent was cheap, but the apartment was old. The walls were thin. The refrigerator made a loud noise. But it was home. Destiny walked to the kitchen. She poured cereal into 2 bowls. She added milk. Mason and Miles sat at the small table. They ate quietly. Destiny made coffee for herself. She leaned against the counter and watched her sons. Mason had dark curly hair and green eyes. Miles had the same hair and the same eyes. They looked exactly alike. People always asked Destiny who their father was. She never answered. That part of her life was private. "Mom, can we watch cartoons?" Miles asked. "For 10 minutes, Destiny said. "Then we have to go to Grandma's house." Mason and Miles finished their cereal. They ran to the couch and turned on the TV. Destiny washed the bowls in the sink. She went to the bathroom and got dressed. She wore black pants and a white shirt. She pulled her hair back into a bun. She looked at herself in the mirror. She was 28 years old, but she felt older. Working 2 jobs did that to a person. At 6 in the morning, Destiny and the boys left the apartment. They walked to the bus stop. The air was cold. It was early October. Mason held Destiny's left hand. Miles held her right hand. The bus came and they got on. They rode for 20 minutes. Then they got off in Englewood. Destiny's mother, Angela, lived in a small house on a quiet street. Destiny knocked on the door. Angela opened it. She was 52 years old. She wore scrubs. She worked as a nurse at Stroger Hospital. "Good morning, babies," Angela said. She hugged Mason and Miles. "Hi, Grandma," they said together. Destiny kissed her mother on the cheek. "Thank you for watching them." "You do not have to thank me," Angela said. "They are my grandsons." Destiny knelt down. She looked at Mason and Miles. "Be good for Grandma. I will pick you up tonight." "Okay, Mom," Mason said. Miles hugged her. "I love you." "I love you too," Destiny said. She stood up and left. She walked back to the bus stop. She rode the bus to the Loop. The Loop was downtown Chicago. It was full of tall buildings and busy streets. Destiny got off the bus and walked 2 blocks. She arrived at a small coffee shop called Morning Brew. She worked there from 6 until noon. Destiny put on her apron. She made coffee. She served customers. She cleaned tables. The work was hard. Her feet hurt, but she needed the money. At noon, Destiny left Morning Brew. She ate a sandwich while she walked to her second job. She worked as a cashier at a grocery store in Bronzeville. The store was called Fresh Market. Destiny worked there from 1 until 8 at night. She scanned items. She bagged groceries. She smiled at customers even when she was exhausted. The manager, Mr. Lopez, was kind. He let Destiny sit down for 5 minutes every hour. At 8, Destiny left Fresh Market. She rode the bus back to Englewood. She picked up Mason and Miles from her mother's house. They were sleepy. Destiny carried Miles on her back. Mason walked next to her. They took the bus home. It was 9 at night when they arrived at the apartment. Destiny gave the boys a bath. She put them in their pajamas. She read them a story. Then she tucked them into bed. She kissed them both on the forehead. "Good night, my loves," she said. "Good night, Mom," they said together. Destiny closed the bedroom door. She walked to the couch and sat down. Her whole body hurt. She closed her eyes. This was her life every single day. Wake up at 5, work 2 jobs, come home exhausted. She did not complain. She did this for Mason and Miles. They were everything to her. The next morning, Destiny's phone rang. She looked at the screen. The number was not familiar. She answered. "Hello? Is this Destiny Parker?" a woman asked. "Yes, this is Destiny." "My name is Karen Lee. I am calling from Hunt Industries. You applied for an executive assistant position 3 weeks ago. We would like to invite you for an interview." Destiny's heart started beating fast. Hunt Industries was a huge company. She had applied for the job online. She never thought they would call her back. "Yes," Destiny said. "I would love to interview." "Can you come tomorrow at 10 in the morning?" Karen asked. "Yes, I can be there." "Great. The office is located on Michigan Avenue. The address is on our website. Please bring your resume." "I will. Thank you so much." Destiny hung up. She sat on the couch. She started crying. This could change everything. If she got this job, she could quit her 2 jobs. She could spend more time with Mason and Miles. She could move them to a better neighborhood. The next day, Destiny called in sick to both her jobs. She put on her best clothes. She took the bus to Michigan Avenue. Hunt Industries was in a tall glass tower. Destiny walked inside. The lobby was beautiful. There were marble floors and huge chandeliers. Destiny took the elevator to the 40th floor. A woman was waiting for her. "Hello, you must be Destiny. I am Karen." "Hi," Destiny said. She shook Karen's hand. Karen led Destiny to a conference room. They sat down. Karen asked Destiny about her work experience. Destiny explained that she worked 2 jobs. She worked at a coffee shop and a grocery store. She told Karen she was organized and responsible. She needed this job because she had 2 sons to take care of. Karen nodded. "Mr. Hunt would like to meet you personally. Please wait here." Destiny's hands started shaking. Alexander Hunt was the CEO of Hunt Industries. He was a billionaire. She had seen his picture in magazines. She never thought she would meet him. The door opened. A tall man walked in. He wore a black suit. He had dark hair and green eyes. Destiny looked at him. Her heart stopped. She knew him. 6 years ago, she had met him at a business conference. She had been working as a server to pay for college. They talked for hours. They spent one night together. It was the best night of her life. But the next morning, he was gone. She never saw him again. And then she found out she was pregnant. She found out he was engaged to someone else. So she never contacted him. Now he was standing in front of her. Alexander Hunt, the father of her sons. Alexander looked at Destiny. He froze. He recognized her immediately. Destiny Parker. He never forgot her. "Hello?" Alexander said. His voice was calm, but his eyes were wide. "Hello?" Destiny said quietly. Karen looked between them. Do you two know each other? We met a long time ago, Alexander said. He sat down. He asked Destiny questions about her work experience, but his mind was racing. What was she doing here? Why did she apply for this job? Did she know he worked here? Destiny answered his questions. Her voice was steady, but inside she was panicking. She needed this job. She could not let him know the truth. Not yet. After 10 minutes, Alexander stood up. Thank you for coming in, Miss Parker. We will call you in a few days. Destiny stood up. She shook his hand. Then she left. She took the elevator down to the lobby. She walked outside. She leaned against the building. She could not breathe. What just happened? What if he figured out the truth? What if he realized Mason and Miles were his sons? 2 days later, Karen called, Destiny, we would like to offer you the job. You start on Monday. Destiny started crying. Thank you. Thank you so much. On Monday morning, Destiny arrived at Hunt Industries at 8. She wore a black dress, and her hair was pulled back. Karen showed her to her desk. It was right outside Alexander's office. Destiny sat down. She learned how to manage his schedule. She answered his phone calls. She organized his meetings. Alexander was polite but distant. He did not talk to her unless it was about work. Destiny worked hard. She did not make any mistakes. She needed this job. She could not lose it. On Wednesday morning, Destiny's phone rang. It was Mrs. Thompson, her babysitter. Destiny, I am so sorry. I am sick. I cannot watch Mason and Miles today. Destiny's heart sank. Mrs. Thompson, please. I cannot miss work. I am sorry, honey. I have a fever. I cannot watch them. Destiny hung up. She called her mother. Angela did not answer. She was working a double shift at the hospital. Destiny sat at her desk. Her hands were shaking. What was she going to do? She could not bring Mason and Miles to work. But she had no choice. At 8:30, Destiny picked up the boys from her apartment. She brought them to Hunt Industries. She took them to the 5th floor. There was an employee break room. It was small and quiet. Destiny gave Mason and Miles their tablets. She gave them juice boxes and crackers. Listen to me, Destiny said. She knelt down. You have to stay here. Do not leave this room. Do not talk to anyone. I will check on you every hour. Do you understand? Mason nodded. We understand, Mom. Please, Destiny said. Her voice was shaking. Please be good. We will, Miles said. Destiny kissed them both. Then she left. She took the elevator back to the 40th floor. She sat at her desk. Her heart was pounding. She looked at the clock. She just needed to make it through the day. Then everything would be okay. But 30 minutes later, Mason and Miles got bored and pushed open a huge wooden door at the end of the hallway. Inside the office, Mason and Miles stopped walking. Their eyes grew wide. The room was enormous. The ceiling was high. The walls were covered in dark wood. There were huge windows from the floor to the ceiling. The windows showed the entire city of Chicago. Buildings and streets stretched out below them. Wow, Miles whispered. Mason looked around. There was a massive desk in the middle of the room. Behind the desk was a tall leather chair. On the walls were paintings in gold frames. Everything looked expensive. A man stood by the window. He had his back to them. He was tall. He wore a black suit. He was talking on his phone. I need the report by Friday, the man said. No extensions. Miles looked at Mason. Mason put his finger to his lips. They should leave. But Miles was curious. He took a step forward. The wooden floor creaked. The man turned around. It was Alexander Hunt. He saw the boys. His phone slipped from his hand. It fell to the floor. He did not pick it up. He just stared. Mason and Miles stared back. Alexander's heart started pounding. He could not breathe. He looked at the boys' faces. Dark curly hair, bright green eyes. The same eyes he saw in the mirror every morning. The same hair his father had. The same smile his grandfather had in old photographs. These boys looked exactly like him. Alexander knelt down slowly. His legs felt weak. He did not understand what was happening, but he knew. Deep inside, he knew. "Hello," Alexander said. His voice was quiet. "Hi," Miles said. Mason said nothing. He moved closer to his brother. "What are your names?" Alexander asked. Miles looked at Mason. Mason looked at the floor. Then he looked at Alexander. "I am Mason," he said. "This is my brother Miles." "Mason and Miles," Alexander repeated. "Those are good names. What is your last name?" "Parker," Miles said. "Mason and Miles Parker." Parker. The name hit Alexander like a wave. His mind went back 6 years. He was at a business conference at the Palmer House Hotel in downtown Chicago. It was late. He was tired. He went to the hotel bar. A woman was working there. She was serving drinks. She had dark curly hair and warm brown eyes. She smiled at him. Not because he was rich. Not because he was Alexander Hunt. She smiled because he told a joke. Her name was Destiny Parker. They talked for hours. She was funny. She was smart. She was real. She did not care about his money or his name. She cared about books and music and dreams. They talked until the bar closed. Then they went to his hotel room. They spent the night together. It was the best night of Alexander's life in a long time. But the next morning, he left. He had a meeting in New York. He was engaged to Victoria Langston. He went back to his life. He never called Destiny. He never looked for her. He thought about her sometimes, but he never reached out. Now he understood. These boys were his sons. Alexander looked at Mason and Miles. He felt something break open inside his chest. These were his children. He had children. He did not know. He had no idea. "Where is your mother?" Alexander asked. His voice was shaking. "She works here," Miles said. "She told us to stay in the break room. But we got bored." "What is your mother's name?" "Destiny," Mason said. "Destiny Parker." Alexander stood up. His mind was spinning. Destiny worked here. She was his executive assistant, the woman he hired 3 days ago. She knew. She knew these were his sons. She knew he was their father. Why did she not tell him? "Stay here," Alexander said. "Do not leave this office. I need to find your mother." But at that moment, the office door flew open. Destiny ran inside. Her face was pale. Her eyes were wide. She was breathing hard. She looked around the room. She saw Mason and Miles standing in the middle of the office. She saw Alexander staring at them. She knew he had figured it out. "Mason, Miles, come here right now," Destiny said. Her voice was shaking. The boys ran to their mother. Destiny grabbed their hands. She looked at Alexander. She could not read his face. Was he angry? Was he shocked? She did not know. "I am so sorry, Mr. Hunt," Destiny said. The words came out fast. "They were supposed to stay in the break room. My babysitter got sick. I had no one to watch them. I brought them here. I told them not to leave the room. I am so sorry. This will never happen again. I promise. Please do not fire me. Please. I need this job." Alexander did not say anything. He just looked at the boys. Then he looked at Destiny. "Sit down," Alexander said. "I cannot sit down," Destiny said. "I need to take them back to the break room. I need to get back to work." "Destiny, sit down." Alexander's voice was firm, but not angry. Destiny did not move. She held Mason and Miles's hands tighter. Alexander walked to his desk. He picked up his phone from the floor. He pressed a button. "Karen, cancel all my meetings for today," he said. He hung up. He looked at Destiny again. "I am not going to fire you," Alexander said, "but I need to talk to you, not now, after work. Can you stay after everyone leaves?" Destiny nodded. She could not speak. Alexander knelt down again. He looked at Mason and Miles, his sons. He wanted to hug them. He wanted to tell them who he was. But not yet. Not like this. "How old are you?" Alexander asked. "We are 6, Miles said. 6 years old. Alexander closed his eyes. The math was right. The night he spent with Destiny was 6 years and 9 months ago. "Do you like working with tablets?" Alexander asked. Miles nodded. "Yes, we have games." "Good. You can stay in here with me for a little while. I have a couch over there. You can sit and play your games. Is that okay?" Mason and Miles looked at their mother. Destiny nodded. She did not know what else to do. The boys walked to the couch. They sat down. They opened their tablets. Alexander stood up. He looked at Destiny. "Go back to work," he said quietly. "I will watch them. Come back at 5. "Mr. Hunt, you do not have to." "I want to," Alexander said. "Go." Destiny did not understand what was happening, but she nodded. She kissed Mason and Miles on their heads. Then she left the office. Her hands were shaking. Her heart was pounding. She walked back to her desk. She sat down. She stared at her computer screen. She could not focus. She could not think. He knew. Alexander Hunt knew that Mason and Miles were his sons. The rest of the day felt like a dream. Destiny answered phone calls. She sent emails. She organized files. But her mind was far away. She kept looking at the clock. At 5, everyone started leaving. The office became quiet. Destiny stood up. She walked to Alexander's office. She knocked on the door. "Come in," Alexander said. Destiny opened the door. Mason and Miles were still on the couch. They were asleep. Their tablets were on the floor. Alexander was sitting at his desk. He was looking at the boys. "They fell asleep an hour ago," Alexander said. "I did not want to wake them." Destiny walked to the couch. She looked at her sons. They looked peaceful. She wanted to pick them up and run. She wanted to take them home and never come back. "Sit down, Destiny," Alexander said. Destiny sat in the chair across from his desk. She did not look at him. "Are they mine?" Alexander asked. Destiny closed her eyes. She felt tears on her cheeks. She nodded. "Say it," Alexander said. His voice was quiet. "I need to hear you say it." Destiny opened her eyes. She looked at Alexander. "Yes," she said. "Mason and Miles are your sons." Alexander leaned back in his chair. He put his hands over his face. He stayed like that for a long time. When he finally looked at Destiny again, his eyes were red. "Why didn't you tell me?" Destiny looked at the desk. She could not look at Alexander's face. The city lights outside the windows were starting to glow. It was getting dark. She took a deep breath. "I was 22 years old," Destiny said. Her voice was quiet. "I was in my 3rd year at Chicago State University. I was studying business administration. I worked nights to pay for school. That night at the Palmer House Hotel, I was serving drinks at the conference. You were there for a meeting." Alexander nodded. He remembered everything about that night. "We talked for hours," Destiny continued. "You were different from other men I met. You listened to me. You asked me about my dreams. You did not treat me like I was just a server. We spent the night together. It was the best night of my life." Destiny wiped her eyes. Her hands were shaking. "The next morning you were gone. You left a note. It said you had a meeting in New York. You said thank you for a wonderful night. That was it. I did not have your phone number. I did not know how to reach you. 6 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant. I was terrified. I did not know what to do. I wanted to tell you. I searched for your name online. I found you immediately. Alexander Hunt, CEO of Hunt Industries, billionaire, and engaged to Victoria Langston. Alexander's jaw tightened. He remembered his engagement to Victoria. It was the worst time of his life. I saw the pictures, Destiny said. You and Victoria at charity events. You looked happy together. There were articles about your wedding. They said it would be the wedding of the year. I realized that night meant nothing to you. You had a whole life, a fiancé, a future. I was just a girl you met at a hotel bar. Destiny, Alexander started. No, let me finish, Destiny said. I decided not to contact you. I did not want your money. I did not want you to think I was trying to trap you. I did not want to ruin your life. So I kept the secret. I dropped out of college. I moved back in with my mother. I had the twins alone, Mason and Miles. I named them after my grandfather and my uncle. Destiny looked at Alexander now. Her eyes were full of tears. I worked 2 jobs. I did everything alone. I never asked anyone for help. I raised them by myself. They are good boys. They are smart and kind. I did my best. Alexander stood up. He walked to the window. He looked out at the city. Chicago spread out below him. Lights were coming on in buildings. Cars moved through the streets. He felt like his whole world had changed in one day. You are right, Alexander said. He did not turn around. I was engaged to Victoria 6 years ago. But you are wrong about one thing. That night meant everything to me. Destiny looked at him. She did not understand. Alexander turned around. His face was serious. My engagement to Victoria was not real, he said. My father arranged it. Richard Hunt. He wanted me to marry Victoria because her family was powerful. The Langstons owned half of Manhattan. My father said it was good for business. I agreed because I thought it was my duty. I thought I had to do what my father wanted. Alexander walked back to his desk. He sat down. But I was miserable. I did not love Victoria. She did not love me. We were strangers. The night I met you at the Palmer House, I was at a conference. I was tired of my life. I went to the bar. And then I saw you. Alexander looked at Destiny. You were different. You were real. You did not care that I was Alexander Hunt. You cared about books and dreams and music. We talked for hours. I felt alive for the first time in years. When I woke up the next morning, I wanted to stay. But I had a meeting. I thought I would see you again. I thought I would find you. But then I went back to my life. I went back to Victoria and my father and the engagement. I was a coward. Destiny listened. She did not say anything. 2 years later, I ended the engagement, Alexander said. I could not live a lie anymore. I told Victoria the truth. I told her I did not love her. She was relieved. She did not love me either. We ended it quietly. My father was furious. He did not speak to me for a year, but I did not care. I was free. Alexander leaned forward. I thought about you after that. I thought about the woman from the hotel bar. I wondered what happened to you. I wondered if you thought about me. But I never looked for you. I thought you moved on. I thought you forgot about me. Destiny felt tears on her face. She did not wipe them away. I never forgot you, she said quietly. Alexander closed his eyes. He felt pain in his chest. I missed 6 years, he said. I missed their births. I missed their first steps, their first words. I missed everything. I am sorry. Destiny said. "Do not apologize," Alexander said. "You did what you thought was right. I understand why you did not contact me. But now I know. Mason and Miles are my sons. Everything is different now." Destiny looked at the boys sleeping on the couch. They looked so peaceful. She did not want anything to change. She was afraid. "What do you want?" Destiny asked. "I want to know them," Alexander said. "I want to be their father." "What does that mean?" "I do not know yet," Alexander said. "But I want to spend time with them. I want them to know who I am. I want to be part of their lives." Destiny's hands gripped the arms of the chair. "You cannot take them away from me," she said. Her voice was shaking. "I will fight you. I will do whatever it takes. They are my sons." "They are our sons," Alexander said, and his voice was calm. "And I am not going to take them away from you. I promise. I would never do that." "How do I know that?" Destiny asked. "You have money? You have lawyers? You could take them if you wanted to." "I could," Alexander said, "but I will not. Destiny, you raised them for 6 years. You worked 2 jobs. You did everything alone. You are their mother. I would never take that away from you. But I am their father, and I want a chance to be part of their lives." Destiny looked at him. She wanted to believe him, but she was scared. "I have conditions," Destiny said. "Tell me. You can only see them when I am present. You cannot make decisions about them without asking me first. You cannot tell anyone they are your sons until I say it is okay." Alexander nodded. "I agree to all of that. And no expensive gifts," Destiny said. "No buying them things to make them like you. I do not want you trying to buy their love." "Okay," Alexander said. "And if they get upset or scared, you leave. You do not push them." "I understand." Destiny took a deep breath. She looked at Mason and Miles again. They deserved to know their father. She had always known that. She was just afraid. "Okay," Destiny said. "You can spend time with them." Alexander felt relief wash over him. He stood up. He held out his hand. Destiny stood up. She shook his hand. It felt strange, formal, but it was a start. "Thank you," Alexander said. Destiny nodded. She walked to the couch. She gently shook Mason's shoulder. "Wake up, baby," she said softly. Mason opened his eyes. He looked confused. Then he saw where he was. Miles woke up too. "Time to go home," Destiny said. The boys stood up. They picked up their tablets. Alexander watched them. His sons. He wanted to say something. He wanted to tell them the truth. But not yet. It was too soon. "Thank you for letting us stay here," Mason said to Alexander. "You are welcome," Alexander said. "You can come back any time." Miles smiled. "Really?" "Really," Alexander said. Destiny held the boys' hands. She walked to the door. She stopped and turned around. "When do you want to see them?" she asked. "This weekend," Alexander said. "Saturday afternoon. I can pick you up." Destiny thought about it. Then she nodded. "Okay, Saturday at 2 in the afternoon." She gave Alexander her address. Then she left with Mason and Miles. Alexander stood alone in his office. He looked out the window at the city. Everything had changed. This morning, he woke up alone. He went to work. He had meetings. His life was simple and organized. Now he had 2 sons, twin boys named Mason and Miles. They had his eyes. They had his smile. They were part of him. As Destiny left the office that night, she wondered if she just made the biggest mistake of her life or the best decision for her sons. Saturday came quickly. Destiny woke up early. She was nervous. Mason and Miles were excited. They kept asking when Alexander would arrive. At 1:30 in the afternoon, Destiny dressed the boys in clean jeans and shirts. She wore jeans and a sweater. She brushed her hair and left it down. At 2, there was a knock on the door. Destiny opened it. Alexander stood in the hallway. He wore dark jeans and a gray sweater. He looked different, less formal. He was holding shopping bags. "Hello?" Alexander said. "Hi," Destiny said. She saw the bags. Her stomach tightened. "What is in the bags?" "Gifts," Alexander said, "for the boys." Destiny stepped into the hallway. She closed the door behind her. She kept her voice low. "I told you no expensive gifts." "I know," Alexander said, "but I wanted to bring them something." "You are trying to buy their love," Destiny said. "I am not," Alexander said. "I just wanted them to like me." "They will like you if you spend time with them," Destiny said, "not because you buy them things." Alexander looked at the bags. He felt embarrassed. Destiny was right. "I am sorry," he said. "I did not think about it that way." Destiny took a deep breath. "Come inside. But next time, no gifts." Alexander nodded. They went inside the apartment. Mason and Miles ran to the door. "Hi," Miles said. "Hello, Miles." "Hello, Mason," Alexander said. He handed them the bags. The boys opened them. Inside were toy cars and action figures, expensive ones from a store on Michigan Avenue. Mason and Miles smiled. "Thank you," they said together. Destiny watched. She was not happy, but the boys were happy. She would talk to Alexander about it later. "Are you ready to go?" Alexander asked the boys. "Yes," Miles said. They left the apartment. Alexander's car was parked on the street. It was a black sedan, clean and expensive. The boys climbed in the back seat. Destiny sat in the front. Alexander drove. "Where are we going?" Mason asked. "Millennium Park," Alexander said. "Have you been there before?" "Yes," Miles said. "Mom took us last year." "Then you know about the bean," Alexander said. "The bean is cool," Miles said. They drove to downtown Chicago. Alexander parked near the park. They walked through the grass. It was a beautiful October day. The sun was shining. The air was cool but not cold. There were families everywhere. Children ran and played. Dogs walked with their owners. They reached the Cloudgate sculpture. It was huge and silver. It looked like a giant bean. The surface was shiny. It reflected the sky and the buildings and the people. "Can we touch it?" Miles asked. "Yes," Alexander said. Miles ran to the sculpture. He put his hand on it. Mason followed. They looked at their reflections. They laughed. Destiny stood next to Alexander. She watched the boys. "They are beautiful," Alexander said quietly. "Yes," Destiny said, "they are." Miles ran back to Alexander. He grabbed Alexander's hand. Alexander looked down. Miles was smiling. "Race me," Miles said. "What?" Alexander asked. "Race me to that tree." Miles pointed to a tree across the grass. Alexander looked at Destiny. She nodded. Alexander looked at Miles. "Okay," Alexander said. They stood side by side. Mason counted, 1, 2, 3, go! Miles and Alexander started running. Miles was fast. His legs moved quickly. Alexander ran beside him. He did not run his fastest. He let Miles win. They reached the tree. Miles jumped up and down. "I won! I won!" Miles shouted. Alexander smiled. It was the first real smile he had in weeks. Miles hugged Alexander's leg. Alexander froze. Then he put his hand on Miles's head. "You are very fast," Alexander said. "I know," Miles said. Mason walked over slowly. He stood next to his mother. He watched Alexander and Miles. Destiny could see Mason was thinking about something. "Do you like puzzles?" Alexander asked Mason. Mason looked up. "Yes." "I like puzzles too," Alexander said. "Maybe we can do one together sometime." Mason thought about it. "Okay." They walked through the park. They saw the fountain. They saw people taking pictures. They sat on a bench. Destiny bought the boys ice cream from a cart. Alexander offered to pay. Destiny said no. She paid for her sons. After an hour, they walked back to the car. Alexander drove them to Navy Pier. The pier stretched out into Lake Michigan. There were restaurants and shops. There was a big Ferris wheel. The boys had never been there before. "Can we ride the Ferris wheel?" Miles asked. "Yes," Alexander said. They waited in line. Then they got on the Ferris wheel. The four of them sat in one car. The wheel started moving. They rose higher and higher. Mason held his mother's hand. Miles pressed his face against the window. He looked out at the water and the city. "This is amazing," Miles said. Alexander looked at Destiny. She was looking out the window too. The sun hit her face. She looked beautiful. Alexander felt something in his chest, something he had not felt in a long time. After the Ferris wheel, they ate dinner at a restaurant on the pier. The boys had chicken fingers and French fries. Destiny had a salad. Alexander had a sandwich. Miles talked the entire time. He talked about school and his friends and his favorite, the superhero. Mason was quieter. He listened. He watched Alexander carefully. When they finished eating, Alexander drove them home. It was 7 at night. The boys were tired. Mason and Miles climbed out of the car. Destiny followed them. "Thank you for today," Destiny said. "Can I see them again next week?" Alexander asked. Destiny looked at the boys. They were smiling. "Yes, next Saturday." "Can we go to your house?" Miles asked Alexander. Alexander looked surprised. "My house?" "Yes," Miles said. "I want to see where you live." Alexander looked at Destiny. She nodded. "Okay," Alexander said. "Next Saturday. I will pick you up." The boys said goodbye. Destiny took them inside. Alexander sat in his car. He watched them walk into the building. His sons. He could not believe it. He had sons. Over the next 3 weeks, Alexander saw Mason and Miles every Saturday. He took them to the Field Museum. They saw dinosaur bones and ancient artifacts. He took them to the Shed Aquarium. They saw sharks and dolphins and colorful fish. He took them to his penthouse in the Gold Coast neighborhood. When the boys walked into the penthouse, they stopped. Their mouths opened. The apartment was huge. It had floor-to-ceiling windows. The windows overlooked Lake Michigan. The water stretched out forever. The furniture was modern and expensive. Everything was clean and organized. "You live here?" Miles asked. "Yes," Alexander said. "Alone?" Miles asked. "Yes." Miles looked around. "That sounds lonely." Alexander did not know what to say. Miles was right. The penthouse was lonely. It had always been lonely. Alexander lived there by himself. He worked all the time. He came home to an empty apartment every night. "Do you know how to play chess?" Mason asked. Alexander looked at Mason. "Yes, I do." "Can you teach me?" "Of course." They sat at the dining table. Alexander brought out a chessboard. It was made of marble. The pieces were heavy and beautiful. Alexander showed Mason how each piece moved: the king, the queen, the rooks, the knights, the bishops, the pawns. Mason listened carefully. He asked questions. Alexander answered them patiently. "Can I try?" Mason asked after 20 minutes. "Yes," Alexander said. They played a game. Mason made mistakes, but he learned quickly. Alexander helped him. He explained strategy. He showed Mason how to think ahead. Mason focused completely. His eyes never left the board. Miles got bored. He stood up from the couch. "Can we play something else?" "What do you want to play?" Alexander asked. "Superheroes," Miles said. I do not know how to play superheroes, Alexander said. It is easy, Miles said. You are the bad guy. I am the superhero. I defeat you. Alexander looked at Destiny. She was smiling. Alexander stood up. Okay, he said, I will be the bad guy. Miles started running around the penthouse. He made flying sounds. He pretended to shoot webs from his hands. Alexander chased him. He pretended to be a villain. Miles laughed so hard he fell on the floor. Alexander helped him up. Miles hugged him. Alexander froze. His arms stayed at his sides. Then, slowly, he hugged Miles back. He felt something break open in his chest. This was his son, his child, hugging him. That night, Alexander drove Destiny and the boys back to their apartment. It was late. Mason and Miles were asleep in the back seat. Destiny looked at them. Then she looked at Alexander. They like you, she said quietly. Do they? Alexander asked. Yes. Alexander felt relief. I like them too. They are amazing. Thank you for spending time with them, Destiny said. I should be thanking you, Alexander said. He parked in front of Destiny's building. Destiny woke the boys. They climbed out of the car. Destiny looked at Alexander. Same time next week? She asked. Yes, Alexander said. Destiny smiled. She took the boys inside. Alexander watched them go. He sat in his car. He thought about Mason and Miles. He thought about Destiny. He realized he was falling in love with her again. Maybe he never stopped. But the next morning, Alexander received a phone call from his mother, Margaret Hunt, and her voice was ice cold. Alexander, we need to talk. Margaret's voice came through the phone. It was 7 in the morning on Sunday. Alexander was making coffee in his penthouse. Good morning, Mother, Alexander said. Do not good morning me, Margaret said. I need to see you, now. I am busy today. Cancel your plans. Come to the house, immediately. Margaret hung up. Alexander stood in his kitchen. He knew that tone. His mother was angry. He got dressed. He drove north out of Chicago. The drive took 45 minutes. He arrived in Winnetka, a wealthy suburb. The houses were huge, the lawns were perfect. Everything was expensive. Margaret's estate was at the end of a quiet street. The house was massive. White columns stood at the front. The hedges were trimmed perfectly. Alexander grew up in this house, but it never felt like home. He parked in the driveway. He walked to the front door. He did not knock. He opened the door and went inside. Margaret was waiting in the sitting room. She wore a gray suit. Her hair was pulled back. She did not smile when she saw him. Sit down, Margaret said. I prefer to stand, Alexander said. Margaret's eyes narrowed. I heard a rumor. Someone saw you at Navy Pier last weekend. You were with 2 young boys and a woman. Alexander's jaw tightened. He should have known someone would see them. Chicago was a big city, but his mother had friends everywhere. Is it true? Margaret asked. Yes, Alexander said. It is true. Who are those children? Alexander took a deep breath. They are my sons. Margaret stood up. Her face went pale, then red. Your what? My sons, Mason and Miles. They are 6 years old. I just found out about them 3 weeks ago. How is that possible? 6 years ago, I met a woman at a conference. Her name is Destiny Parker. We spent one night together. She became pregnant. She never told me. I did not know until recently. Margaret walked to the window. She looked out at the garden. Her hands were shaking. Where is this woman now? Margaret asked. She works at Hunt Industries. She is my executive assistant. Margaret spun around. She planned this. She took that job to trap you. She wants your money. No, Alexander said. His voice was firm. She did not plan anything. She did not even know I would recognize the boys. She has never asked me for money. She raised them alone for 6 years. She worked 2 jobs. She did everything by herself." "I do not believe that," Margaret said. "Women always want something." "You are wrong about her." Margaret walked closer to Alexander. "Do you understand what people will say? A billionaire CEO with secret children from a one-night stand? The media will destroy you. The board of directors will lose confidence in you. This is a disaster." "It is not a disaster," Alexander said. "Mason and Miles are my sons. I am proud of them." "You need to handle this quietly," Margaret said. "Set up a trust fund for the boys. Pay the woman to stay away. Make this go away." Alexander felt anger rise in his chest. "No!" "Excuse me? I said no. I am not paying Destiny to stay away. I am not hiding my sons. I am going to be their father." Margaret's face went cold. "If you continue this relationship with that woman and her children, I will cut you off from the family. I will remove you from the trust. I will tell the board of directors that you are unfit to run the company." Alexander looked at his mother. He felt sad. She would never understand. She cared more about money and status than people, more than family. "Do what you need to do," Alexander said. "Mason and Miles are more important than money. If you cannot accept that, then we have nothing more to say." He turned and walked toward the door. "Alexander!" Margaret called. He did not stop. He walked out of the house. He got in his car and drove away. Margaret stood alone in the sitting room. She was shaking with anger. She was not going to let this happen. She was not going to let some woman from the South Side destroy her family's legacy. That afternoon, Destiny was cleaning her apartment. Mason and Miles were drawing at the kitchen table. Her phone rang. The screen said Lincoln Elementary School. That was the boys' school. But it was Sunday. Why would the school call on Sunday? Destiny answered. "Hello? Miss Parker, this is Principal Davis from Lincoln Elementary." "Yes?" "I am calling because we had an incident on Friday afternoon. I wanted to inform you as soon as possible, but I could not reach you." Destiny's heart started beating fast. "What incident? What happened?" "A woman came to the school at 2 in the afternoon on Friday. She said she was Mason and Miles's grandmother. She said you sent her to pick them up early. She had identification and seemed very official. Our front desk allowed her to take the boys." Destiny felt her blood go cold. "I did not send anyone. Who was this woman?" "She said her name was Margaret Hunt." Destiny dropped her phone. She picked it up with shaking hands. "Where are my sons?" "They are safe, Miss Parker. The woman brought them back to school after 30 minutes. She said there was a misunderstanding. But I wanted to let you know what happened. We have updated our records. No one can pick up Mason and Miles except you or people on your approved list." "Where did she take them?" Destiny asked. Her voice was shaking. "I do not know. I am very sorry. This should not have happened." Destiny hung up. She looked at Mason and Miles. They were drawing. They looked fine. She walked over to them. "Did someone pick you up from school on Friday?" Destiny asked. She tried to keep her voice calm. Mason and Miles looked at each other. "Yes," Mason said quietly. "Who?" "A lady," Miles said. "She said she was our grandmother. She had a big car. She took us to a big house." "What did she do?" "She talked to us," Mason said. "She asked us questions about where we live, about you, about Alexander." Destiny felt tears in her eyes. She hugged her sons. "Why did you not tell me?" "She said it was a surprise," Miles said. "She said not to tell you." Destiny pulled out her phone. She called Alexander. He answered immediately. "Destiny? What is wrong?" "Your mother took them." Destiny's voice was shaking. "She took Mason and Miles from their school on Friday. She took them somewhere. She questioned them." Alexander's face went white. He was still driving home from Winnetka. "What?" "The principal just called me. Your mother picked them up from school. She brought them back after 30 minutes. But she took them, Alexander. She took my sons." "I am coming to you right now," Alexander said. "No," Destiny said. "We are going to your mother's house. She does not get to do this." 20 minutes later, Destiny and Alexander both arrived at Margaret's estate in Winnetka. Destiny had Mason and Miles with her. She wanted them where she could see them. Alexander met them in the driveway. His face was hard. His eyes were angry. "Stay behind me," he said. "No," Destiny said. "I am going in first." Alexander did not argue. They walked to the front door. Alexander opened it. They went inside. Margaret was in the living room. She stood up when she saw them. "Alexander, I did not expect you back so soon." "What did you do?" Alexander's voice was quiet. "Dangerous." "I do not know what you mean." "You took Mason and Miles from their school on Friday." Margaret looked at the boys. They were standing close to their mother. "I wanted to meet my grandsons. Is that a crime?" Destiny stepped forward. Her whole body was shaking. "You had no right. You do not get to take my children without my permission." "I am their grandmother," Margaret said. "You are nothing to them," Destiny said. Her voice was loud. "Being rich does not make you a good person. Being part of this family does not give you rights to my sons. You took them from school. You scared them. You are lucky I do not call the police." Margaret's face went red. "How dare you speak to me that way?" Alexander stepped between them. He looked at his mother. "If you ever try to take Mason and Miles again, I will cut you out of my life forever. You will never see me. You will never see them. Do you understand?" Margaret looked at her son. She realized she had lost. She had pushed too far. "I just wanted to meet them." "You should have asked," Alexander said. "Now leave us alone." Margaret said nothing. She turned and walked out of the room. Alexander knelt down. He looked at Mason and Miles. "Are you okay?" he asked. "Yes," Mason said. "We were scared," Miles said. "But she did not hurt us." "Good," Alexander said. "No one is ever going to take you again. I promise." They left the estate. Alexander drove Destiny and the boys back to their apartment. No one spoke. When they arrived, Destiny took the boys inside. She gave them dinner. She put them to bed early. Then she sat on the couch. She started crying. She could not stop. That night, as Destiny puts Mason and Miles to bed, she realizes she cannot protect them alone anymore. The next morning, Destiny woke up on the couch. She had not slept in her bed. She could not sleep at all. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Mason and Miles being taken from school. She saw Margaret questioning them. She felt helpless. Mason and Miles came out of their bedroom at 7. They looked sleepy. "Mom, why are you on the couch?" Mason asked. "I fell asleep here," Destiny said. She stood up. "Are you hungry?" "Yes," Miles said. Destiny made them breakfast, cereal and juice. She drank coffee. She could not eat. Her stomach hurt. At 8, there was a knock on the door. Destiny looked through the peephole. It was Alexander. He was holding a bag and 2 cups of coffee. She opened the door. "What are you doing here?" "I brought breakfast," Alexander said. "Can I come in?" Destiny stepped aside. Alexander walked in. He put the bag on the kitchen table. Inside were bagels and cream cheese. Mason and Miles ran over. "Can we have bagels?" Miles asked. "Yes," Destiny said. The boys ate. Alexander and Destiny sat at the table. They drank coffee. Destiny looked tired. Her eyes were red. "Did you sleep?" Alexander asked quietly. "No. Neither did I." Mason and Miles finished eating. They went to the living room to watch cartoons. Alexander looked at Destiny. "I am sorry," he said. "I am sorry my mother did that. I did not think she would go that far." "I am scared," Destiny said. Her voice was quiet. "What if she tries again? What if she calls child services and lies about me? What if she says I am an unfit mother? She has money and connections. I have nothing." "That will not happen," Alexander said. "How do you know?" Alexander was quiet for a moment. He thought. Then he spoke. "I have a plan." "What plan?" "I am going to make our situation public. I am going to hold a press conference. I am going to announce that Mason and Miles are my sons. I am going to set up trust funds for their education. I am going to name you as co-decision maker for all matters involving the boys. I am going to make everything legal and official." Destiny stared at him. "A press conference? In front of reporters?" "Yes. Everyone will know. Everyone will see my name. They will judge me." "They might," Alexander said. "But it is the only way to protect Mason and Miles. If everything is public, my mother cannot operate in the shadows. She cannot make up lies. She cannot try to take them away. Everything will be legal and documented." Destiny put her head in her hands. She did not want to be in the news. She did not want strangers talking about her life. But Alexander was right. This was the only way to protect her sons. "Okay," Destiny said. "Do the press conference." "I need your permission," Alexander said. "I will not do it unless you agree." "I agree." Alexander reached across the table. He touched her hand. "There is something else." Destiny looked at him. "What?" "I want you and the boys to move into my penthouse." Destiny pulled her hand away. "No." "Destiny!" "No," she said again. Her voice was firm. "I am not moving in with you. I am not going to depend on you. I am not going to be some woman living off a rich man." "It is not like that," Alexander said. "Then what is it like?" "If you live with me, it will be harder for my mother to interfere. It will show that we are a united family. Also, the penthouse has security. No one can just walk in. No one can take the boys." Destiny stood up. She walked to the window. She looked out at the street. Her apartment was small and old, but it was hers. She paid for it. She worked for it. If she moved into Alexander's penthouse, she would lose her independence. "I have worked 2 jobs for 6 years, Destiny said. "I did everything alone. I never asked anyone for help. If I move in with you, what happens when you get tired of us? What happens when you decide being a father is too hard? Then I will have nothing. I will have to start over." Alexander stood up. He walked to her. "I will never get tired of you. I will never get tired of Mason and Miles. I am their father. I am not going anywhere." "How do I know that?" Destiny asked. Tears were in her eyes. "How do I know you will not change your mind?" "You do not," Alexander said. His voice was honest. "You have to trust me. I know that is hard for you, but I am asking you to try." Destiny wiped her eyes. "If I move in, I keep my job. I come and go as I please. I have my own room. You do not control me. I agree to all of that. And if I want to leave, I can leave any time. You will not stop me." "I will never stop you." Destiny turned around. She looked at Alexander. "Why are you doing this? Why are you helping us?" Alexander looked at her. His green eyes were serious. "Because Mason and Miles are my sons, but also because of you. I care about you, Destiny. I never stopped caring about you." Destiny felt her heart beat faster. She did not know what to say. "I need time to think," she said. "Take all the time you need," Alexander said. He left the apartment. Destiny sat on the couch. Mason and Miles were watching cartoons. They did not know what was happening. They did not know their lives were about to change. That night, Destiny called her mother. Angela came over at 9. She had just finished her shift at the hospital. She looked tired. Destiny made tea. They sat at the kitchen table. The boys were asleep. "What is wrong?" Angela asked. Destiny told her everything. About Alexander, about Margaret taking the boys from school, about the press conference, about Alexander asking her to move in. Angela listened quietly. She did not interrupt. When Destiny finished, Angela was quiet for a long time. Then she spoke. "I was wrong," Angela said. "What?" Destiny asked. "I was wrong to teach you that you had to do everything alone. I raised you to never depend on anyone. I made you afraid of accepting help. I thought I was making you strong, but I was making you afraid." Destiny felt tears on her face. "I am afraid, Mama." "I know, baby." Angela reached across the table. She held Destiny's hand, but sometimes accepting help is not weakness. Sometimes it is strength. This man, Alexander, he seems good. He loves his sons. He respects you. Maybe you should give him a chance. "What if he leaves? What if he does not?" Destiny cried. Angela held her. They sat together for a long time. The next morning, Destiny called Alexander. He answered immediately. "I will move in," Destiny said. "Are you sure?" Alexander asked. "Yes, but not as your girlfriend, as your partner, as the mother of your sons." "I understand," Alexander said. "When do you want us to move?" "Whenever you are ready. Give me 2 weeks. I need to tell my landlord. I need to pack." "Okay," Alexander said. 2 weeks. But as Destiny started packing her things, she wondered if she was ready for the life that was coming. 2 weeks later, Destiny stood in her apartment. Boxes were everywhere. Mason and Miles ran between them, excited. Alexander arrived at 9 in the morning with a moving truck. 2 men helped load the boxes. Destiny looked around the apartment. She had lived here for 4 years. It was small and old, but it was hers. Now she was leaving. She felt scared and excited at the same time. "Ready?" Alexander asked. "Yes," Destiny said. They drove to the Gold Coast neighborhood. The penthouse was on the 20th floor of a glass building. The elevator opened directly into the apartment. Mason and Miles ran inside. Their eyes went wide. "This is where we live now?" Miles asked. "Yes," Alexander said. The boys ran through the rooms. There were 3 bedrooms, one for Destiny, one for Mason, one for Miles. Each bedroom was huge. The boys' rooms had new beds and new furniture. The beds had blue covers. There were desks and bookshelves and toy boxes. Miles jumped on his bed. "This is mine?" "Yes," Alexander said. "All yours." Mason walked around his room slowly. He touched the desk. He touched the bookshelf. He looked at Alexander. "Is this really ours?" Mason asked. Alexander knelt down. "Yes, Mason. This is your home now." Mason smiled. It was a small smile, but it was real. Destiny's room was next to the boys' rooms. It was the guest bedroom. Large windows overlooked the city. There was a queen-sized bed and a dresser and a closet. Everything was clean and new. Destiny put her boxes in the corner. She would unpack later. The first few days were strange. Destiny was not used to so much space. The penthouse had a full kitchen with new appliances. It had a dishwasher and a washing machine. It had 3 bathrooms. Everything was expensive. Alexander had a housekeeper named Rosa. She came 3 times a week. Rosa was in her 50s. She had black hair with gray streaks. She spoke Spanish and English. She made homemade meals. She played with Mason and Miles. The boys loved her. Destiny liked her too. Rosa was kind and warm, but Destiny still felt out of place. She was afraid to touch anything. She was afraid to sit on the expensive couch. She was afraid to use the fancy dishes. Everything felt temporary, like she was a guest in someone else's home. Alexander noticed. One evening, he found Destiny in the kitchen. She was washing dishes by hand, even though there was a dishwasher. "You do not have to do that," Alexander said. "Rosa will do it." "I know," Destiny said, "but I want to." "Destiny, this is your home. You do not have to be careful." "It does not feel like my home," Destiny said quietly. Alexander did not know what to say. He left her alone. Meanwhile, Alexander prepared for the press conference. He met with his lawyers. They helped him set up trust funds for Mason and Miles. The trusts would pay for their education, college, graduate school, whatever they wanted. The lawyers also drew up documents naming Destiny as co-decision-maker for all matters involving the boys. She would have equal say in everything: medical decisions, school decisions, everything. Alexander also met with his public relations team. There were 3 people: a man named David, a woman named Sarah, and another woman named Kim. They helped Alexander write a statement. He practiced it over and over. He wanted to get every word right. "People will ask hard questions," David said. "They will ask why Destiny never contacted you. They will ask if you are paying her. They will ask if this is real or a publicity stunt." "Let them ask," Alexander said. "I will tell the truth." "The truth can be messy," Sarah said. "I do not care," Alexander said. 3 days before the press conference, Alexander took Mason and Miles to get haircuts. They went to a barbershop in Lincoln Park. The barber was an older man with white hair. His name was Joe. He had owned the shop for 30 years. "Who do we have here?" Joe asked. "This is Mason and Miles," Alexander said. "Twins," Joe said. "They look just like you." Alexander smiled. "Yes, they are my sons." Joe cut the boys' hair. He told them jokes. He asked them about school. Mason and Miles laughed. When Joe finished, the boys looked clean and neat. Alexander paid. He tipped Joe $50. After the haircuts, they went for ice cream. They sat outside at a small table. It was late October. The air was cold, but the sun was warm. Mason and Miles ate chocolate ice cream. Alexander had vanilla. "Why did we have to get haircuts?" Miles asked. "Because we are going to be in the news soon," Alexander said. "On TV?" Miles asked. "Yes." "Cool," Miles said. Mason was quiet. He ate his ice cream slowly. "Are we in trouble?" "No," Alexander said. "Why would you think that?" "Because you look worried." Alexander looked at Mason. This boy noticed everything. "I am not worried about you. I am worried about other things. But I will handle it. You do not need to worry." That night, Destiny could not sleep. She got up at midnight. She walked to the living room. The city lights shone through the windows. Chicago looked beautiful at night. All the buildings lit up, cars moving on the streets below. Alexander was sitting on the couch. He was awake, too. He wore sweatpants and a t-shirt. Destiny had never seen him dressed so casually. "Cannot sleep?" Alexander asked. "No," Destiny said. She sat next to him. They were quiet for a moment. The apartment was silent. Mason and Miles were asleep. "Are you sure about the press conference?" Destiny asked. "Once you do this, you cannot take it back." "I am sure." "Why are you doing this? You are risking your reputation, your relationship with your mother. Why?" Alexander looked at her. The city lights reflected in his green eyes. "Because Mason and Miles deserve to know their father. Because they deserve to have my name. Because you deserve respect. You raised 2 amazing boys alone. You worked 2 jobs. You never gave up. You are the strongest person I know." Destiny felt tears in her eyes. No one had ever said anything like that to her. "There is one more reason," Alexander said. "What?" "I have fallen in love with you, not just because you are the mother of my sons, but because of who you are. You are strong and brave and real. I loved you 6 years ago. I never stopped." Destiny could not speak. Her heart was pounding. She had been fighting her feelings for weeks, but the truth was, she loved him too. She was just scared. Alexander reached out. He took her hand. Destiny looked at their hands together. His hand was large and warm. She squeezed it. She did not say the words out loud, but Alexander understood. They sat together in the dark, holding hands, preparing for the storm that was coming. The next morning, Alexander stood in front of a room full of reporters and cameras, ready to tell the world the truth. The press conference room was at Hunt Industries headquarters. It was on the 3rd floor. The room was full. Reporters sat in rows of chairs. Cameras lined the back wall. Photographers stood at the sides. Lights were bright. The air felt hot. Alexander stood at a podium. His lawyers stood behind him. David, Sarah, and Kim from his PR team stood to the side. Alexander wore a black suit and a white shirt. He looked calm, but his hands gripped the podium. Destiny was not there. She decided to stay home with Mason and Miles. She sat on the couch in the penthouse. The boys sat next to her. The TV was on. A news channel was showing the press conference live. "Is that Dad?" Miles asked. "Yes," Destiny said. Her hands were shaking. Alexander cleared his throat. He looked at the cameras. He began speaking. "Thank you all for coming. I have an important announcement to make. 3 weeks ago, I discovered that I am the father of twin boys. Their names are Mason and Miles Parker. They are 6 years old." The reporters started whispering. Cameras flashed. Alexander continued. "The boy's mother is Destiny Parker. I met her 6 years ago at a business conference in Chicago. We spent one evening together. I did not know she became pregnant. She never contacted me. I did not know about Mason and Miles until 3 weeks ago." A reporter raised her hand. "Why did Miss Parker not contact you?" Alexander looked at the reporter. "Because she believed I was engaged to someone else at the time. She saw the engagement announcement in the news. She did not want to interfere with my life. She chose to raise the boys alone." Another reporter stood up. "Are you in a relationship with Miss Parker now?" "Destiny and I are co-parenting," Alexander said. "We are focused on what is best for Mason and Miles." "Is Miss Parker asking for money?" a man from a tabloid shouted. Alexander's eyes narrowed. "Destiny has never asked me for anything. She worked 2 jobs for 6 years. She raised our sons alone. She is a remarkable woman and a wonderful mother." "Have you set up child support payments?" another reporter asked. "I have set up trust funds for Mason and Miles's education. I have also named Destiny as co-decision maker for all matters involving our sons. She has equal authority in every decision." "Will this affect your role as CEO of Hunt Industries?" a woman asked. "No," Alexander said. "My personal life and my professional life are separate. I will continue to run Hunt Industries with the same commitment and integrity I always have." A reporter from a tabloid stood up. "Mr. Hunt, do you plan to marry Miss Parker?" Alexander paused. The room went quiet. Everyone waited for his answer. "That is between me and Destiny," Alexander said. The press conference lasted 30 minutes. Reporters kept shouting questions. Alexander answered some. He ignored others. When it was over, he left through a side door. His phone started ringing immediately. Text messages came in. The story was spreading fast. At the penthouse, Destiny turned off the TV. Mason and Miles looked at her. "Why is Dad on TV?" Mason asked. "Because he wanted everyone to know you are his sons," Destiny said. "Is that bad?" Miles asked. "No, baby. It is good. It means we are a family now." But Destiny did not feel good. She felt exposed. She felt scared. Within an hour, the story was everywhere. On news websites, on social media, in newspapers. Destiny's phone started ringing. She looked at the screen. People she had not talked to in years were calling. Friends from high school, old co-workers, people she barely knew. Everyone wanted to know if the news was true. Destiny did not answer any calls. She turned her phone off. By afternoon, reporters were outside the building. The security guard called Alexander. Alexander told him not to let anyone up to the penthouse. The guard agreed. That evening, Alexander came home. He looked exhausted. His tie was loose. His jacket was off. Destiny met him at the door. "How did it go?" she asked. "As well as it could have," Alexander said. "I saw some of the news coverage," Destiny said. Her voice was quiet. "People are saying terrible things about me." Alexander put his briefcase down. "What are they saying?" "That I am a gold digger, that I trapped you, that I planned this to get your money." Alexander's jaw tightened. "Those people do not know you." "But everyone believes them," Destiny said. "Everyone thinks I am using you." Alexander walked to her. He put his hands on her shoulders. "I know the truth. That is all that matters." "Is it?" Destiny asked. Tears were in her eyes. "Your whole company knows. Your friends know. Everyone in Chicago knows." "Let them talk," Alexander said. "They will move on to the next story eventually." But the next day, the story did not go away. It got bigger. A tabloid published an article. The headline was "Billionaire's Secret Babies." There were photos of Alexander, photos of Destiny that someone found on social media. The article interviewed people who knew Destiny. Mrs. Thompson, the old babysitter, said nice things. She said Destiny was a hard worker and a good mother. A woman named Lisa, who worked at Fresh Market, said Destiny always struggled with money. A man who lived in Destiny's old building said Destiny must be happy now that she has a rich boyfriend. Destiny read the article on her phone. She started crying. She could not stop. Alexander found her in her bedroom. She was sitting on the bed. The phone was in her hand. "They make me sound pathetic," Destiny said. "They make it sound like I was poor and desperate, like I was waiting for someone to save me." Alexander sat next to her. He took the phone from her hand. He put it on the nightstand. Then he put his arms around her. Destiny cried into his shoulder. "I worked so hard," she said. "I did everything by myself. And now everyone thinks I am using you." "I know you are not using me," Alexander said. "Destiny, you are the strongest person I know. You raised 2 boys alone. You worked 2 jobs. You never gave up. Anyone who knows the real story would be amazed by you." "But they do not know the real story," Destiny said. "They only know what the tabloids say." Alexander held her until she stopped crying. When she pulled away, her eyes were red. Her face was wet. "I am sorry," Destiny said. "I am not usually like this." "You do not have to apologize," Alexander said. "This is hard. I know it is." That night, Destiny could not eat dinner. She sat at the table with Alexander and the boys. Mason and Miles ate pizza. They talked about school. They did not notice their mother was quiet. After dinner, Destiny helped the boys with their homework. She read them a story. She tucked them into bed. Then she went to her room. She closed the door. She sat on the bed. She felt alone. There was a knock on the door. "Come in," Destiny said. Alexander opened the door. "Can I sit?" Destiny nodded. Alexander sat on the edge of the bed. "I have been thinking," Alexander said. Maybe we should take a break from the news. Turn off our phones. Do not read anything. Just focus on Mason and Miles. How can I not read it? Destiny asked. It is everywhere. I know, but reading it will only make you feel worse. Destiny was quiet. Then she nodded. You are right. But the next day, Margaret Hunt called a board meeting at Hunt Industries, and Alexander knew his biggest fight was just beginning. Alexander received the phone call at 8 in the morning. It was from David Chen, a member of the board of directors. Alexander, your mother has called an emergency board meeting. Today at 10. You need to be there. What is this about? Alexander asked. She says it is about the company's reputation. That is all I know. Alexander hung up. He looked at Destiny. She was making breakfast for Mason and Miles in the kitchen. I have to go to the office, Alexander said. My mother called a board meeting. Destiny turned around. What does she want? I do not know, but I can guess. At 10, Alexander sat at the head of the long table in the boardroom. 12 board members sat around the table. Margaret sat at the other end. She wore a navy suit. Her face was hard. Thank you all for coming, Margaret said. I called this meeting because we have a serious problem. Alexander's personal scandal is damaging Hunt Industries. I have received calls from clients. They are questioning whether they want to do business with us. They are questioning Alexander's judgment. A board member named Thomas spoke up. He was in his 60s. He wore glasses. What scandal are you referring to? Alexander has secret children from a one-night stand, Margaret said. The story is in every newspaper, on every news website. This reflects poorly on the company. Alexander's personal life is his own business, another board member said. Her name was Jennifer. She was in her 40s. Not when it affects the company, Margaret said. I am proposing that Alexander step down temporarily, until this situation is resolved. The room went quiet. Alexander sat in his chair. His hands were on the table. He looked calm, but inside he was angry. I will not step down, Alexander said. Margaret looked at him. This is not your decision alone. The board will vote. Then let them vote, Alexander said. But I want to say something first. He stood up. He looked at each board member. 3 weeks ago, I learned I have 2 sons, Mason and Miles. They are 6 years old. Their mother is Destiny Parker. I did not know about them until recently. When I found out, I had a choice. I could hide them. I could pay Destiny to stay quiet. I could pretend they did not exist. Or I could be their father. Alexander paused. I chose to be their father. I am proud of that choice. I am proud of Mason and Miles. I am proud of Destiny. She raised our sons alone for 6 years. She worked 2 jobs. She asked for nothing. She is an incredible woman. Thomas nodded. Jennifer nodded too. Being a CEO does not mean I have to be perfect, Alexander continued. It means I have to be honest. I told the truth. I was honest with the public. If the board does not respect that, then I will resign. But I will not step down temporarily and hide. I did nothing wrong. Richard Green stood up. He was in his 70s. He had white hair and kind eyes. He had known Alexander since Alexander was a child. I have known Alexander for 10 years, Richard said. I watched him take over this company from his father. I watched him build Hunt Industries into one of the most successful companies in Chicago. He is ethical. He is fair. He works harder than anyone I know. His personal life does not change that. Richard looked around the room. I support Alexander. I vote to keep him as CEO. Jennifer stood up. I support Alexander too. One by one, other board members stood up. They said they supported Alexander. Margaret's face went red. She realized she was losing. "This is a mistake," Margaret said. Her voice was cold. She stood up. She picked up her purse. She walked out of the boardroom. The door closed behind her. Thomas looked at Alexander. "We will take a vote. All in favor of keeping Alexander Hunt as CEO?" 11 hands went up. Only one board member did not raise his hand. He was a friend of Margaret's. "The vote is 11-1, Thomas said. "Alexander remains as CEO." The board members stood up. They shook Alexander's hand. They told him they supported him. Richard patted Alexander on the shoulder. "You did the right thing," Richard said. Alexander drove home. When he opened the door to the penthouse, Destiny and the boys were waiting. Destiny looked nervous. "What happened?" she asked. "I won," Alexander said. "The board voted to keep me as CEO." Destiny felt relief wash over her. "Really?" "Yes." Mason and Miles ran to Alexander. "What does that mean?" Miles asked. "It means I still have my job," Alexander said. "Good," Mason said. "We like your job. Your office is cool." That night, Alexander took everyone out to dinner. They went to a quiet restaurant in Lincoln Park. The restaurant had white tablecloths and candles on the tables. Mason and Miles ordered burgers and fries. Destiny ordered pasta. Alexander ordered steak. They talked and laughed. For the first time in weeks, they felt normal. They felt like a family. 4 days later, Destiny checked the mail. There was a letter addressed to her. The return address was from Winnetka. Margaret Hunt. Destiny opened the letter. It was written on expensive paper. The handwriting was perfect. "Dear Miss Parker, I would like to meet with you privately. I believe we should talk. Please meet me at Café Moderne on Thursday at 2 in the afternoon. I will be waiting. Sincerely, Margaret Hunt." Destiny showed the letter to Alexander that night. He read it. His face was serious. "Do not go," he said. "Why not?" "Because I do not trust her. She is planning something." "Maybe she wants to apologize," Destiny said. "My mother does not apologize." "I want to go," Destiny said. "I want to hear what she has to say." Alexander did not like it, but he nodded. "Okay, but call me if anything happens." On Thursday, Destiny took the train to downtown Chicago. Café Moderno was on State Street. It was small and expensive. Margaret was already sitting at a table when Destiny arrived. She wore a cream-colored coat. Her hair was perfect. Destiny sat down across from her. She did not smile. "Thank you for coming," Margaret said. "What do you want?" Destiny asked. Margaret folded her hands on the table. "I wanted to tell you that I underestimated you. I thought you were just a poor girl looking for money. But I see now that I was wrong. You are strong. You raised 2 boys alone. You protected them. I respect that." Destiny did not say anything. She waited. "But I am worried," Margaret continued. "I am worried that Alexander is making decisions based on emotion, not logic. I am worried that this situation will damage his future." Destiny leaned forward. "You are wrong. Alexander is not damaged. He is better than he has ever been. He is happy. He is a father. He has a family. That is not a scandal. That is a gift." Margaret was quiet. She looked at Destiny for a long time. Then she nodded slowly. "Maybe you are right," she said. She stood up. She put money on the table for the coffee. Then she left. Destiny sat alone at the cafe. She realized Margaret was not going to fight anymore. She had accepted the situation. When Destiny got back to the penthouse, Alexander was playing chess with Mason. Miles was drawing at the table. Destiny smiled. This was her life now. This was her family. As Destiny watched her family together that night, she realized she finally had everything she ever wanted. 3 months passed. Life found a rhythm. Mason and Miles started attending a new school near the penthouse. It was a private school called Lincoln Academy. The classes were small. The teachers were kind. The school had a soccer team. Both boys joined. Every Tuesday and Thursday, Destiny watched them practice on the field. She sat in the stands with other parents. She cheered when they scored. She clapped when they tried hard. Alexander came to the games when he could. He stood on the sideline. He watched his sons run across the grass. He felt proud. Destiny quit her job as Alexander's executive assistant. She decided to go back to school. She enrolled in business classes at Northwestern University. She wanted to finish her degree. She wanted to build her own career. Alexander paid for her tuition. At first, Destiny said no, but Alexander explained that he wanted to, not because she needed him to, but because he believed in her. Destiny agreed. 3 nights a week, Destiny went to class. Alexander stayed home with Mason and Miles. He helped them with homework. He made them dinner. Sometimes he burned the food. The boys laughed. They ordered pizza instead. One Saturday morning, the whole family went to the beach on Lake Michigan. It was January. The beach was cold and empty. The water was gray. The wind was strong. But Mason and Miles wanted to see it. They threw rocks into the water. They ran along the sand. Alexander chased them. Destiny watched. She took pictures on her phone. She felt happy. That evening, after Mason and Miles went to bed, Destiny and Alexander sat together on the couch. The city lights shone outside the windows. Destiny looked at Alexander. "I love you," she said. It was the first time she said the words out loud. Alexander turned to her. His green eyes were wide. "What?" "I love you," Destiny said again. "I have been afraid to say it, but it is true. I love you." Alexander pulled her close. He kissed her forehead. "I love you too. I have loved you since the night we met 6 years ago." They sat together for a long time, just holding each other. That night, Destiny moved into Alexander's bedroom. Not because she had to, because she wanted to. A few weeks later, Alexander received a phone call from his mother. Margaret asked if she could see Mason and Miles. Alexander talked to Destiny about it. Destiny agreed. They would give Margaret another chance. They drove to Winnetka on a Sunday afternoon. Margaret was waiting at the front door. When she saw the boys, she knelt down. "Hello, Mason. Hello, Miles," she said. Her voice was soft. "Are you our grandmother?" Miles asked. "Yes," Margaret said. "I am." "Are you nice?" Miles asked. Margaret smiled. It was a small smile, but it was real. "I am trying to be." Mason and Miles looked at their mother. Destiny nodded. The boys walked to Margaret. She showed them the garden. She showed them the library. She was gentle with them, patient. She listened when they talked. At dinner, they all sat together at the long dining table. Margaret sat at the head. Alexander and Destiny sat on one side. Mason and Miles sat on the other. They ate roast chicken and vegetables. Miles told Margaret about his soccer game. Mason told her about his chess tournament at school. Margaret listened. She asked questions. She seemed genuinely interested. After dinner, Margaret pulled Destiny aside. They stood in the hallway. "I am sorry for everything I did," Margaret said. "I was scared of losing my son. But I realize now that I was wrong. You are good for him. You make him happy." Destiny looked at her. "Mason and Miles need a grandmother. If you want to be part of their lives, you are welcome. But if you hurt them, I will not let you see them again." "I understand," Margaret said. They went back to the dining room. The evening ended peacefully. In April, Mason and Miles turned 7 years old. Destiny and Alexander threw them a birthday party at the penthouse. Destiny's mother, Angela, came. Margaret came. The boys' friends from school came. There was cake and balloons and music. Mason and Miles stood together in front of the cake. 7 candles burned. Everyone sang happy birthday. The boys closed their eyes. They made a wish. Then they blew out the candles together. Later that night, after everyone went home, the 4 of them sat at the dinner table. The Chicago skyline glowed outside the windows. The city was beautiful. Mason looked at Alexander. "Dad, can you help me with my homework tomorrow?" Alexander smiled. The boys had been calling him Dad for months now, but every time he heard it, his heart swelled. "Yes," Alexander said, "I will help you." Miles looked at Destiny. "Mom, can you read me a story before bed?" "Of course, baby," Destiny said. The boys ran to their rooms to get ready for bed. Alexander and Destiny sat at the table alone for a moment. Destiny reached across. She took Alexander's hand. "I never thought my life would turn out like this," Destiny said. "Neither did I," Alexander said, "but I am grateful." "So am I." They stood up. They walked to the boys' rooms. Destiny read Miles a story about superheroes saving the city. Alexander helped Mason with his spelling words for school. Then they tucked the boys into bed. They kissed them goodnight. Alexander and Destiny walked back to their bedroom. They stood by the window. They looked out at the city. The lights stretched out forever. Destiny thought about her old apartment on the south side. She thought about working 2 jobs. She thought about struggling to pay rent. She thought about being alone and scared. That life felt like it happened to someone else, a different person. This was her life now. She had a family. She had love. She had a partner. She had a home. Alexander wrapped his arms around her from behind. He rested his chin on her shoulder. They looked at the city together. "Thank you," Alexander said quietly. "For what?" Destiny asked. "For giving me a chance. For letting me be their father. For loving me." Destiny turned around. She faced him. She put her hands on his face. "You gave us a chance too," she said. "You gave us a home." They kissed. It was gentle and soft. When they pulled away, they were both smiling. Outside, the city lights shone. Cars moved through the streets. People lived their lives. But inside the penthouse, everything was quiet and peaceful. Mason was asleep in his room. His chessboard sat on his desk. Miles was asleep in his room. His superhero drawings covered the walls. Destiny and Alexander were in their room. They held each other. They were not a perfect family. They still had hard days. They still argued sometimes. They still made mistakes. But they were a real family. They chose each other. Every single day, they chose each other. And that was all that mattered. If you enjoyed today's video, I'm sure you'll love the next one. Don't waste time. Just click on the screen